Being a caregiver is a labor of love, but sometimes you need to get away from the day-to-day work to recharge. John and June's Mission is a nonprofit that gives caregivers a much-deserved break. The group leads free treks into the Idaho wilderness, giving you time to focus on your own well-being in a beautiful place. Plus, you could receive a voucher to hire help to care for your loved one while you're away. July 27th through the 30th, they're doing a backpacking trip into the Payette National Forest, but spots are going quickly. Go to johnandjunesmission.org to learn more. Today on CityCast Boise, if you're like me, it's been maybe a minute since you last went to a Boise Hawks game. Baseball mega fan and contributor Jocelyn Robertson took the CityCast team out to the ball game, where we ate all the food, met all the dogs, and got to see a can of corn in action. It's Wednesday, July 5th. I'm Emma Arnold, and this is what Boise's talking about. Hi, Jocelyn. Hi, Blake.
Hi.
Hey, Emma.
Well, why don't we just start by each of us letting our listeners know, was this your first Hawks game, and are you a baseball fan? Jocelyn, let's start with you.
I have been to many, many Hawks games over the years, starting from when I was a kid, and I am an official, total fan of baseball at any level, and I do mostly follow Major League Baseball, but I watch baseball like 4 to 5 days a week during the season.
And Blake, you too, right? Obviously.
No, not at all. Okay, I was like, really? Is that the vibe that... No, I'm just kidding. No, I grew up, I love you, Mom, if you're listening, being forced to watch some MLB games on TV. Hate it. It's up there with golf on the worst things to watch televised, in my opinion. But I do love a live baseball game. I went to my first one like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I was like, oh, I get it. It's fun.
Yeah. We went a few times when I was a kid, and I took my kids. I haven't been in a very long time. I was thinking about it. I think I would definitely over a decade, maybe longer. But I took my kids a few times when they were little. Before last night, I wasn't thinking like, oh, this is going to be so fun. I was kind of like, yeah, let's do this. We'll try it. We'll see how it is. But Jocelyn, since you're clearly the most experienced baseballer among us, can you describe, like, for people who haven't been, the atmosphere of a Hawks game, like really set the scene for our listeners?
Well, I love the Hawks Stadium, the Memorial Stadium, because it's old school baseball. Like, it's got little tiny plastic seats that fold up and down. It's got nowhere to put your drink. But it feels really personal and really intimate. The crowds are always really enthusiastic. You can really see all the action, and you don't have to wait in a super long line for any sort of, drinks or hot dogs or anything. And you can get to your seat easily, so you can get up and down a bunch of times, which, if you go to a major league ballpark, sometimes it's a big ordeal to get up and down. But this just feels like it's more like a park. You can get up, you can walk around, you can look at things from a different angle. So for me, it's like hometown baseball, great lights that even have osprey nests on them.
Oh, yeah, that was so cool to see that osprey nest up there.
Was so
random. That was really sweet. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it really surprised me, like very community vibe, like really sweet, it wasn't super full. So yeah, but you could see people kind of moving seats and checking different areas of the park out, which was really fun. And we actually went for one of their theme nights, Bark in the Park, which is where people can bring their dogs. And that was the most adorable thing ever. Blake, I thought we were going to die. It was so cute.
They were just kind of all over. And true to my fashion, I didn't get there in time for the actual like event thing where they like hung out. But they were just all over the stadium, though, like in the stands, and like they had like a little section off to like on the first base line, and they were just everywhere, and they were so cute.
I saw a corgi in a backpack, which I will never recover from. Yeah. That was amazing.
Pretty top tier.
Yeah.
And usually, although last night they didn't have them, I guess instead of a bat boy, there's a dog that grabs the bats after they're done. And that is so fun to see. It's a black lab.
I was very sad we missed that. I was looking forward to that. Maybe we'll see it again when we go back. But there also seem to be like a lot of really cute like fan traditions and little rituals that are like going on during the game.
Yeah, they had at one point kids dressed up in various potato dish costumes
Racing.
that did little
like,
races. There were like there were some water balloons involved at some point. And I thought it was really fun because you hear this like disembodied voice talking about some kid that's about to go through this harrowing event. And it can take a while for you to like locate them on the field. You're just kind of like, what is, you're just always playing catch up a little bit, but not in a bad way. Always in kind of like
in an exciting, entertaining
what's next?
way.
Like you're really just like being led on. In a really fun way.
I really enjoyed that. I thought that it's really cute to do during the innings, those little things. And there was one where the kid had to throw, the baseball through a tire and he missed all three. And everybody's cheering for him. And on like the second miss, everybody's like, you've got this. And on the third one, when he missed again, I was like, that is a core memory for that kid. That kid, he becomes a CEO because of that moment. He never gets over that. But you felt like the crowd, I don't know. It was so supportive and so sweet about that stuff. We also, not to brag, but we stood in line next to the man who sang the national anthem.
True.
So, yeah, we got to know each other a little bit.
After he sang the national anthem.
Yeah, after.
And he made sure that we knew that he didn't have that Philly cheesesteak.
Oh, the Idaho cheesesteak, which we might as well jump into food because that was next anyway. I did not get the Idaho Philly cheesesteak, but someone else right next to us did. And I was like, that looks good as hell. It's French fries with the Philly cheesesteak toppings, but no bread, just fries instead. And it looked really delicious. And honestly, everything I saw somebody eating there and everything I ate was really tasty. Like perfect baseball park food, honestly.
I agree. I got the like sauerkraut hot dog version, which just like 3 packets of mustard on it, and I was so happy. It was great.
Yeah, I got the killer kielbasa based on Jocelyn's recommendation, and it was incredible. There was a moment, I also ordered nachos, but like for everybody, and there was a moment where I was holding nachos and the kielbasa, and I was waiting for you, and I was taking bites of the kielbasa, and like, but like I had full hands, so I was just kind of eating it like off the plates, and I looked over, and this person who works there was looking at me, and I was like, oh, but then they gave me a thumbs up. Like, you're doing baseball right. And I was like, oh, good. But the nachos were really tasty.
Nachos were really good.
That was great. I thought the kielbasa was really good. Probably my favorite thing, not to give away my fave too early, but the ice cream in tiny little baseball hats. Didn't know that you could get that at the Hawks Stadium. And I don't even like ice cream. I don't even care for ice cream. But apparently you put it in a tiny baseball hat, and I'm all about it. That was so good.
I think there's nothing better than a mint chip ice cream, like between the 5th and 6th inning. I mean, for me, that's a pro tip. It's like, have your hot dog early and while it's hot. And then as the game is kind of, lots of momentum, winding down, 7th inning stretch, get that ice cream. It'll just take you through to the end. If you're worried about being bored or whatever, like they always say about baseball, which I don't believe, maybe what it's missing is ice cream.
I love this little war. The two of you. Blake is like, baseball is boring. Jocelyn is like, if baseball is not boring, and I'm going to have to separate you two.
Well, there are a lot of things that can step in to remedy the if you are in the camp of people who finds baseball maybe a little bit boring, i.e. me, it's a great place for a little light eavesdropping, some people watching for sure.
Oh, the eavesdropping was so good.
Also, I would just we went on a Wednesday and it could not have been better. Like, I think that is time to go. I've been on Saturdays when they do everyone sings and there's the fireworks and stuff. And I think that you should go to that. But if you're anxious about just the mass of people and kind of being crowded and that kind of thing, go on a weeknight and it's really nice.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the like you said, the people watching, top tier, and the eavesdropping, I forgot that about baseball games because I hadn't been in so long. You're sitting around all these people, everyone's having incredibly intimate conversations, and you are really a part of all of that. Jocelyn, what is your favorite thing about going to see the Boise Hawks?
Well, if you can go to a baseball game when it's like 75 degrees and slightly breezy, and my other tip is sit on the third base side, even though that's technically visitor side, it's not in the glaring sun. So we were cool and breezy the whole night. And it was just like, it's being outside, but you're not riding a bike or exerting any energy other than chewing maybe and talking. And so I feel like it's just like a great outdoor experience, outdoor community experience. I love reading about all the baseball players, where they're from. We did a lot of investigation to the coaching. They all have really interesting stories. You read about their kids' names. I mean, for me, it's all about the people. And it goes way beyond the players. All these people getting together and enjoying the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, even the announcer, I was like, oh, crap, I think this guy's been announcing since I was a kid. Like, it's got to be the same guy. And he's got this really great baseball voice. And I was like, oh, I love that he's still here, apparently. Like, that was so great. What about you, Blake? Faves for you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would just second, like we followed Jocelyn's recommendation of going on the third baseline, which I'd only been to the Memorial Stadium and stayed on the first baseline, which, we were looking over there. And until like 9 o'clock, it seemed like they were in the sun, which you don't want that. So, you can kind of just sit there. And I think what I like about it is like, I'm not a baseball person, but like what I like about it is that someone like me can come in and have a really good time. Like it's accessible in a way where you can come in at lots of different levels. Like Jocelyn, you say it's all about the people. I did not even pay attention to the players or the coaches at all. Like, I don't know anyone who I saw. But I do know the people that I eavesdrop on. And also, all of the staff there were so friendly. Like,
so friendly.
They were so sweet in just a way. Like, I just kept expecting, like, something grumpy, like somebody grumpy to, like, come along and just, like, say something and just be like, they're, And that just didn't happen. So that just made me really happy. And I just like hard recommend. I think it's worth it. It's also, I mean, I imagine that like if I had kids or was like babysitting or something, that's a great place to take kids because it's really cheap. You can get lots of different kinds of food for pretty cheap. Yeah, great time.
Yeah, everyone that worked there, so friendly, so nice. Even when we were leaving, there was a little old man by the door who was like, come back again. We're here every week. Just so cute. And I was like, we will. I love you. It was so cute.
We're walking into the parking lot and we were like, well, see you here next week, guys. I guess this is our tradition now.
Like, okay, so we do this on Wednesdays. This is our Wednesday date from now on. My favorite, it's interesting for me to hear you say boring or not boring, because I had a realization last night when we were there. I have never actually watched a baseball game. Like Blake said, I mean, we were talking and like laughing, and Jocelyn, you were reading me these hilarious things from the players book thing. And I would literally forget we were at a baseball game very periodically. I would be like, oh, because people would all of a sudden cheer. And I'd be like, right, because we're at a baseball game. That's right. Things are happening. I looked at the field maybe 3 or 4 times. Perfect example of how I'm not paying attention. Everybody was like, oh, the Hawks are down 10. They did lose. They're down 10, which I was like, oh, I thought the game was tied this whole time. That's how closely I've been paying attention. I know. I didn't even notice the scoreboard. I was like, oh, it's all up over there. But my favorite thing was right toward the end. I think we were in the last 2 innings, and Jocelyn said, oh, this is going to be a real can of corn. And apparently that is a baseball saying, and I love it so much that is absolutely going into my vernacular. I'm going to be, and Blake, we were like, this is the perfect way when you want to leave a party and you don't want to be like, this party sucks. You can be like, this is a real can of corn. And it means we're leaving right now. This is a can of corn. And it was a can of corn, turned out. They lost pretty hard, but I don't care because I'm not really paying attention to the baseball, even though when I would check it out, I would be like, oh, this is a great game. And I like that they have the clock now, so it moves very, very quickly.
The pitch clock.
Yeah, the pitch clock. I love that. The game was so fast. It was so fast-paced.
I also want to say there's few opportunities to sing something collectively, just like in general.
Not like in a bar. Yeah.
Like in a bar or something. And they always sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, every game, everywhere. And, it's not like singing the national anthem or something, which feels, very formal or whatever. But it's just like, we're all here singing. And we're all eating popcorn.
Yeah.
And like, what a weird thing that you would all
Yeah.
just break into the same song and everybody, even though you guys aren't like huge baseball fans, totally know the words to that
Oh, yeah.
song.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I loved that too. The collective singing. I was my only complaint really didn't do the wave. I really was expecting a CityCast Boise wave.
There were maybe a third of the seats were full, so I
That's
don't
true.
know.
A
I
little
don't know
tough
how
to
that
do
would
a
have
wave
worked.
when it's
Would have
not
been-
a ton
yeah.
of people. Any complaints? Anything that you were like, I thought that would be a little better. I know our audio producer Evelyn said she felt like the seats were fairly uncomfortable, which I was like, these are such an improvement because I've only ever sat on the sunny side before, and there's such an improvement on the bleachers the whole time. I was like, oh, these seats. Although you were talking about no cup holders or anything, I spilled my husband's beer and I spilled some nachos. So I was like, it would be nice to have somewhere to set anything here. So that's probably my only complaint as well. What about you, Blake?
I would have to agree with that. I think that sounds right. Also, they weren't so good. They lost quite badly. And I would like to see like a competitive game. Like that would be fun. But also like, again, like we've already said, it didn't really matter if you don't care. I'm sure that like, the teams, like the actual players care and like their families and stuff. And so I, want to be mindful of that. But also like as a fan who's just like casually watching, you can just kind of make your own time. It's like a sleepy little vibe.
Jocelyn, you're the pro here. Is there anything you would be like, hey, fix this up? I want this to be better.
I would agree about the seats for sure. It's not just the size of the seats, it's the distance of the seats from between the rows. So like I'm a short person, I'm 5'2", and my knees are hitting the back of that other seat.
True.
And if it is busy, it can be really pretty uncomfortable. There are other, like you can get box seats or there's like a little lounge thing where the seating is a little bit better. And yeah, I mean, the Hawks are no longer an affiliate, a minor league of the MLB, and they're now this Pioneer League. And that's just as of 2021, I think, 2020, 2021. So for me, because I like to watch the players and keep track of them, for me, it's really fun to see them go on and maybe go play at the Rockies or something like that. And this was the first time I had ever been and I didn't know any of the players or I didn't recognize their names. That's not their fault. It's not anybody's fault. It just was kind of a bummer because I'm like, oh, I'd really like to see these guys go on or see somebody come down from the Cubs or whatever. So I think probably if I went to see more games, I would get to know them a little bit better.
It's still pretty early in the season. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I want to amend my no complaints thing. I feel like we as a society should have a better system for foul balls. Because, first of all, there's a lot.
Yes.
Like, it kind of feels like if someone told me this story about, like, going to a baseball game and, like, a baseball, like, flew out and, like, hit their car or something, I'd be like, wow, that's crazy that can even happen, like, once in a game. There were so many. And I just feel like we could step that up, maybe. Which I know it's normal. I know it's just, like, a novice thing to say, but it's kind of wild. The frequency that they go out.
I know. I felt very like a novice every time they hit a foul ball and I'd like duck and like cover my head and then I'd look around and be like, no one else seems to be worried about getting hit in the head with a baseball. So maybe I'm overdoing it a little. But
yeah, there's just like the little group of us that were like frantically like making eye contact and just being like turning into like wild prey for like a split second and then being like, it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. We're probably okay.
So there are some leagues that have like slightly different rules. There is some leagues that play that if you catch a foul ball, like if somebody in the audience catches a foul ball, it's an out.
No way.
Which I wish that they would do that like across the board because then we would all be like,
you're part of the game.
Team. You'd have gloves. You have your glove. You'd be like, I'm ready. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe like just based on that, we should petition to have them take to the Pioneer League, take on that rule.
Yeah, if I'm going to get a head injury, I want to be taking one for the team, not just getting it hit in the head. So, all right. Well, last thoughts, just real quick. Blake, you already said you're a recommend to our listeners.
Yeah, I gave it away already, but I think if you haven't done it, if you really feel like baseball is not for you, I'm really with you. just go try it out.
Okay. And Jocelyn, you're obviously a recommend.
Obviously, fun for the whole
Obviously.
family. I'm here recruiting new baseball fans.
True.
Anything I can get people to do. Emma said last night, just sort of offhand, I'm thinking I might be a baseball fan. So anyway, I'm going to be aggressively pushing that agenda.
Yeah.
Probably by buying season tickets to the Hawks.
Ooh. Well, I want to tell people if you haven't ever been, go. And if you have been, but it's been a while, get together a group of friends and, just be like, let's go sit on the shady side and have a great time. Although I did kind of miss from my youth. I remember the cheap seats were always pretty rowdy. And I do always love the rowdy seats. So there's something to be said for sitting out in the sun with all the other poor people.
Burning your thighs.
Burning your thighs and getting pretty drunk. We know how to party.
We sure do. Yeah.
All right. Thank you both. This was such a blast. I can't wait for the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emma.
That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. If you enjoyed the show, check out our Hey Boise newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more local stories from around the city. Bye.